Hey there, it's time to finish up this image. If you haven't watched the previous video where I go through the making of this image and the testing of the paper, I guess is probably the best way to put it, then I invite you to go take a look at that. Now it's time to put the final touches on this image and finally get it on the website. One thing I was thinking about with this image, if you saw those other items where I was wrestling in Photoshop with the tone curve, where I'm lifting up the values in the shadows areas and the like, I got to thinking after I did that, what about revisiting this in Lightroom? So I wanted to show you what I could have done also and what I may ultimately end up doing here in Lightroom. So this was my original edit that we were working with. And one of the challenges I was dealing with was the shadows areas. They were just a little bit clogged. And as you can see here in this right here, we can actually see some detail here that wasn't coming through initially in the printing process. And so I had to lighten those tones up just a little bit and able to get some of that information back into the print. Incidentally, I didn't show you this, and I didn't speak about this before, but I actually had printed on this Pura Smooth with the wrong paper profile, and it got me a lot more detail in these shadows areas. So I know it's possible for this paper to showcase those details. It's all about the information that you send to the printer. So here is what I'm looking at now, and that is I have a black slider adjustment of -35 or 38. And that is a fairly significant change. I don't usually go over maybe 15 at the most, but as I was initially processing this, I really liked how those blacks were getting crushed a little bit, in particular right under the boat here. But of course, that manifested itself into some items in the print that just didn't work when I go on to the really, the wonderfully smooth cotton rag that is the Pura Smooth by Breathing Color. And again, I've seen this happen on other super matte papers that are ultra smooth as well, and it just has a tough time. They just have a tough time maintaining those details in the shadows areas. So then I was like, hey, what if I just did a little bit of an adjustment here where I still have a solid black? So my clipping thing up here, my clipping warning up here, that I'm hovering about with my cursor, I still have some items that are absolute solid black. It's just I don't have as many. And so that is an adjustment to -2 on the blacks slider. And I actually think that this is going to be a better starting point. And so all of the work I did before is still extremely valuable. I'm just wanting to say, you know what? If you're out there watching and learning, you can learn from, I don't know if I want to call this a mistake, but for conversation, I'll just go ahead and call it a mistake. You can learn from my mistake in that I should have thought to go immediately here to begin with, because maybe there's something here that could have been adjusted, that could have been looked at, that was very simple to address. And I think this is actually something very simple to address. It achieves all of the same purposes, all the same goals that I have in the final print, but it also doesn't really affect, to a huge degree, it doesn't affect the outcome of what I see here on screen. So yes, I don't crush the blacks as much, but that is still a significant presence there in the blacks. And so I'm actually pretty pleased with this. So I'm going to go back over here to my library. I'm going to export, and then we're going to go with my Fine Art Print Master option here. And I'm going to send this out where I normally save it. All right, so I've got it here in the Finder. This is the one I just saved out. This is the one that has the Photoshop adjustment to it. So let's go ahead and open both of these up in Photoshop. Okay, so this image is the one I just exported out. This would be the one that has, of course, this item on there. We can see how those blacks are just significantly crushed there. So I'm still going to bring this over here, though, onto this new file that I've created, because I'm still convinced there's going to be some need for it. It's just I will need to readdress what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look here, and I'm going to take an educated guess and bring this down to about 20. And then by doing that, it is very much a decreased presence here because I've already lightened the tones in Lightroom. And so I'm still getting a bit of a lightening going on here, but again, that overall contrast, that overall feel of everything is still coming through fairly reasonably well. And then I can use this as my launching off point when I go and do my sharpening with my smaller image and so on and so forth. So I'm really confident that this is going to be the piece that I want to do. Now, am I going to get a test off of this? Well, not in this video, I'm not, because I've taken you through that process. You know how that process goes. And I'm really confident in what I have seen already and what I'm doing here that I'm going to get a really good result. Now, here's the thing also. When I make these prints really big, and when I go to the big size paper, I'm still going to have to do effectively what I'm going to call a proof at that size, because I want to make sure my sharpening is right. I want to make sure the resolution comes out right. I need to make sure all these things are just really clicking. And of course, tonality and the impression of the image is going to go into that as well. So for some reason, I find a need to make a change to this curve adjustment here in Photoshop based on the size of the print. Of course, I'll be able to do that as well. A lot of this, you might look at it and say, Brent, this is useless. Brent, this is way overkill. And I'll pretty much understand that argument. I know this is, and this is why I don't release many prints. This is why I haven't done much of this work in the past. And now that I've got my machine, my Epson 44-inch machine, I'm really feeling motivated to make this finally a thing in my life. So this is the process I've decided I really like to have, though, because it's about having the control I want to have to achieve the goals that I want to achieve. And part of those goals are communicating to my collectors that this is something that I put every single ounce of energy into that I have. And when I have something that goes out and shipped out to you, this is going to be something that you know is an absolute bespoke piece, an absolute just as best as I can make it. And I've wrestled with the image, and I've gone through so many steps to make sure that not only is this going to last forever, as long as it can. It's not going to last forever, obviously, but as long as it can, it's archival quality. But that the energy put into it, the creativity put into it, the process put into it is controlled, is managed, is performed by me every step of the way. All right, it is time to make this thing a bigger file, basically ready to print. I'm not going to do basically the actual the sharpening settings of that. Again, that's something that's going to have to come later, because sharpening is done for each size and it is tailored towards each size of output. However, I'm going to show you this. This is the first print that I have on my website. What we got going on here is just a simple print, of course, a simple preview of the print. And if I were to change my option, so we have the image itself, and let's say we're going to choose no frame. All right, well, this is going to give you a little preview. You can see this slightly different, lightly gray sort of appeal here on the edge. So that gives you a feel of what the print will look like on the paper itself. And so if we go larger, of course, that 3-inch border, which is going to be standard on every print, is a smaller, percentage of the overall view. So on then this one, it's just massive, 44 inches by 53.5 inches. And then as we scroll down here, I have a description here. The image is printed with a 3-inch border on each side, making the actual print size smaller than what the paper size is. Hopefully this is coming across clearly to people who are purchasing this. When you are buying a 44 by 53, that is the paper size. That's not necessarily, or that is absolutely not, the actual print size, the actual size of the ink measurement, as it were. So just to start off, each size option listed references the final paper size. So if you were to subtract 6 inches from the overall size stated here, then that will help you determine the actual size of the photographic print. Why do I do this? Well, I do this in hopes that when you are going out looking for a frame, this is going to be the size of frame that you're going to be buying, the 44 by 53. If you have it matted, great. It's going to choke in. The common size mat is going to be either 2 or 3 inches. Well, in this case, I've gone with 3 inches. So if you have a mat that chokes in on that overall frame size, excellent. If you choose not to mat it, well, this is a built-in fake mat, as it were. And so you're going to be able to frame it at 44 by 53 for this particular print. But yes, that the actual ink size measurement is going to be 6 inches smaller than this. So 44 minus 6 is 38. So the image itself is going to be 38 inches tall. And then whatever width is, this minus 6 is going to be whatever the width is for the printed image. This is also going to be the kind of thing where it is going to be customized. The heights are going to be standardized, but the widths are going to be customized for each and every print according to its aspect ratio. So let's get into that now. So I'm back here on my original image, and what I'm going to want to do now, I want to resize it to be that size that I'm targeting. So the main paper sizes that I have are going to be 24 inches, 36 inches, and 44 inches. That's 44 is the maximum my printer can do. And so when I have those maximum sizes, all I got to do is subtract 6 inches from that, and that's what the image size will be. So let's go ahead and set this one to that 24 inches minus 6 inches, which is 18. And so it's going to be real easy. Well, you just go to Image, we go to Image Size. And so right now it is set to 26 point whatever at 240 pixels per inch. That's great. Here the height is only 15.1 inches. So this is an interesting phenomenon. What we're going to end up doing, we're already going to be expanding the overall presence. We're going to be adding to the overall resolution of this image. So we can see it's 3624 pixels tall. And if we wanted to verify some items here, we can certainly go over here into Lightroom, and we should be able to see a pixel count on our image. So the cropped dimensions definitely is 3624. So originally it was 4480. So I've cropped it down some. And then, of course, now I'm going to be interpolating a lot of information. So let's go ahead and get back into Photoshop and see what that is going to mean for us. So if I increase this to 18 inches, I'm then going to be here at very nearly 32 inches. Oh my goodness, that is crazy. So that's awesome. I might actually just go ahead and say, look, let's just make this 32. And then I have another 2/1000ths of an inch. I'm not going to worry about 2/1000ths of an inch. So we're going from 189 megabytes in size to 133 megabytes in size because we're adding this information, and we're going with a resolution of 240. At this size, I'm going to go with a resolution of 240 still. When I go to the other sizes, I'm going to go ahead and downgrade that to 200. The reason being, quite frankly, I don't need those extra 40 pixels per inch. It's just Photoshop is going to be adding stuff that doesn't really need to be there anyway. And for this image, I know I'm going to get a really nice sharp rendition for those larger sizes anyway, because it's such a blurry image. So those little bits that are actually sharp, those are going to be the things I need to pay attention to. And that's going to be really easy to do in this image. Now, would this be something where I will limit the fact that I offer certain sizes? Absolutely. If I have a really detailed image and I just don't have the resolution to where I can say with confidence that 44-inch print, which will be 38 inches tall, so that 44-inch print coming out, that just isn't going to look good because the resolution just isn't there. Well, then no, I'm not going to offer that large size. If there's something I can do, such as taking it through a certain software that I can use to res it up, or that's pretty much the only thing I can do, then sure, I'll look into that and I'll see if that gives me the option to go that large size. But I'm not going to be going that large size just because it's there and I want to make a sale with that. If it doesn't look good, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sell it. All right. So with this 32 wide, all right. So that means this is going to be 24, and then if I take my 32 and I multiply it, or I add, I should say, and I add 6 to it, well, that's going to then make it 38 inches on the width. And what I like to do with that also is to go ahead and go to Image, go to Canvas Size, And then as far as what I'm selecting here, I'm going to choose relative. What that means is whatever your given size is, that's that. What do you want to do with it? Do you want to make additions to it? Do you want to make subtractions from it? Whatever the case is. So now I'm going to add 6 width and 6 height. And then it's targeted in the center, so it's just going to boop all the way around. My background color is white, and my foreground color is bluish. And look, the canvas extension color, it says to other. Uh-oh, we don't want to do that. So we're going to make it do our background color because we definitely want white. All right, there we go. So this is what will come out on that 24-inch wide paper. It'll be 24 inches this way and then 38 inches this way. All right, so one thing I really want to make sure I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and lift this out of being the background because I don't want the white border to be actually a part of this layer itself. So I'll then have to end up creating a new layer here, and that's all fine and good and everything. But when I go and I create my canvas size change here, so let's go 6 and 6 to add to that. The relative button is clicked. I'm still on this, so I'm going to hit Command Delete to fill it in. The reason I want to do this is because that edge where that paper is, or where the print ends and the paper begins, I don't want that to become part of my sharpening edge. So if I were to have left it flattened in all one piece, when I apply my sharpening to this, it's going to be problematic. It's just not going to be very good for us. So I just decided I'm going to lift that up, and yes, it does add to my file size, but to have this sharpened would be absolutely not what I want to do. So now what I can do, I can go ahead and I can come down here to filter, and I can go to sharpen, and this one I'll just continue doing the unsharp mask. Now let's recall my resolution is 240 this time. So my standard size is 1.2 on the radius now. This is a larger print, so it's likely that once I get to the point of making this print, I will increase this in size because it's a larger print. And so I want to have that sharpened according to the distance that people are standing away from it. We don't make a decision based on looking at it. Oh, right there. Is that sharp? Is that not sharp? That's not what we want to do. We want to make the idea on, okay, this is the proper sharpening settings. We want to base that on our perception at a reasonable distance for viewing. In this case, with this image, probably 3 to 5 feet is a reasonable distance for viewing. And so that's where this item here is likely to increase in size so that we can actually see the fact that it's being sharpened. If this is too small, the further back you get, sharpening is irrelevant. You can't tell it's doing it anyway, so why does it even matter? All right, so this image is then ready. Whoops, I did the sharpening, but I really wanted to do it on the, so I did an undo, and now I've made it a smart object, and now I can come back and do this filter once again. That is what we want to do. All right, so now this is available for me to revisit whenever I want. So when I get to buying the bigger paper, when someone makes a sale, when someone makes a purchase, and I get to buying the bigger paper and putting it on there, this is the last step in the stage, and then we are good to go. Okay, now it is time to make this actually available for representing on the website. So now what do we do? It's really easy. Command Option Shift S will give us the Save for Web dialog box, and let's go ahead and get that to fit here so we can just see our image. Now here's the thing, we definitely don't want all of these pixels coming through. What we need to do is make a determination for ourselves. What is the size that we're going to go with for how wide these are going to be? I want to be consistent in my width for how wide these are going to be. So I've canceled that out. Now let's go take a quick look at some of these other items that I've made. So you can see here for that color in motion image, that grass color in motion, I've got these items already in here, and I've got an item here with an F for framing. So that's what it looks like with the frame, would look like with the frame on it. And this is what it looks like without the frame. Well, what I want to do is remind myself how wide this is on a pixels by pixel basis. So how many pixels is that? Let's go take a look. So I've opened it up in Photoshop, and I'll just do a quick canvas size, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's just look at our pixels, and now we're at a width of 700 pixels. So that is the size that I want to reduce this other one to. So now I'll just go back, Command Option Shift S. And then I'll do 700. And then pretty much that's it. My JPEG high at a quality of 60, that's fine for the web, for what we're doing on the web. And then I can just hit save here. And then of course we want to run it in the proper folder. So we're in the proper folder now, and now what I want to do is I'm going to make a JPEG folder, because this is going to be those images that are used for the website for representation for sale. And then on this one, I want to do it with a size information in here. So this is going to be 24. So that's the 24-inch height size. Now, I guess if I wanted to, I could put a 38 in here, because it was 32 plus 6, so 38. I could certainly do that. That part I don't really find to be necessary, because I'm limiting myself to those three distinct sizes anyway, 24, 36, 44. So whether or not that part is there, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So that image is ready to go. And now it is time to show you how I do it with putting on what looks like the frame. So that's going to be super easy, but I will need another layer for that. Actually, no, I won't, I don't think. I think I can do that. Let's just get rid of that. I can do that on this background layer. So all I have to do is hit Command A to select all. I'm then going to come up here, and I want to do an edit, and I'm going to stroke, one of the oldest tricks in the book. Let's go ahead and pull this out to be black, so it looks like black. I'm going to go on the inside, and now here's the thing. All right, this is set to pixels. All right, I have to do some math here. This is where it gets really tricky with doing some appropriate math. All right, so my resolution is 240. And what I want to do is make it 7/8 of an inch. All right, so that's multiplied by 0.875. That'll be 7/8 of an inch. If you don't believe me, let's do that really quick. 7 divided by 8 is 0.875. Multiply that by 240. And so I need 210 pixels to represent my frame border. There we go. So that's what my frame border is going to look like. Command D to deselect. Command Option Shift S to save it out. Remember 700 pixels here. Hit my save. It should remember that same folder. So I can select that. And then I'll put an F here for frame. I hit save. And so now that image is ready to be uploaded to the website. So I'm going to go through and do the rest of the work now, and I'll save you that struggle. I'll save you all that run through. But I'm going to make them for the 36-inch and the 44-inch, and then we're also going to get them on the website, and I want to show you how it comes through on the website. One thing I'm also going to skip is actually putting it in the product in the back end. We'll just see how it is for the front end side of life. So if you're interested in that back end view of what I do to get that product going, certainly you can leave a comment there and I'll see what the interest is. But I really just want to focus on what it takes, or how I'm going to present the image when we're looking at having an image for sale. All right, so we'll pick it up there in just a few seconds. Well, I finally finished this gallery and got the print ready to go. It's all set, it's all done. Let's take a look at what this is all involved. This is the ultimate goal that I was trying to accomplish. Number one, we have the new gallery here on the website. You can see I've got Croatia Landscape and all these others coming through. Of course, my goal is to populate this like crazy with so many different areas and things and ideas for how we can categorize galleries. But when it comes to this one, I chopped a few of them out and then decided to actually keep both the color and the black and white option of this one. So otherwise, it's exactly the same, but I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and show that twice. I just really liked it. So, and how it came out. And by and large, these show up in different, let's see here, if I hit refresh, these should show up. Nope, they're going to be pretty much the same, I guess. So anyway, here's the image that I ended up doing with the print, of course, and how that you've seen all of that possibly in the previous videos, and how that all came together. And then this image, boy, processing this one, that was a little bit of had a lot to do with this image, but it looks pretty good. I'm pretty proud of how it came out, and so there we have it. And of course, here at the end, this is going to be where the prints are listed as available for sale. So if we hit this select options, or you can select pretty much anywhere here, we can go and take a look at what the cart is all like. So we have the size options that we can choose from. And then of course we would select no frame or with a frame. And so if we go with a frame, the price updates automatically and we get a little idea of what it looks like with the frame there. And then the description down yonder where it talks about, hey, if it's a black and white image, it's on this cotton rag paper by Breathing Color. And if it's a color image, Kanzen Infinity. Now, full disclosure, there is some paper that I will be testing from Breathing Color to potentially replace the Kanzen Infinity paper. So we'll see how that comes. I have yet to get to that test. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to squeeze that in. But this description is going to be on every single one of my prints, because what I want to be able to do in the back end on the store is just be able to copy something, plug in the new dimensions and the new prices for those dimensions, and then of course swap out this information because that's specific to that piece. But all these other items, these are going to be specific, or not specific, I should say. This is applicable to everything. So if I were to change something here, this is definitely where I would have to go to all these different pieces and do a copy paste, but that's just part of the risk I'm willing to take at this time. We'll see how it goes. What I'm intending to do is release one print per month. And so I will either add to the galleries that currently exist. So you can see I've got another one here. I will either add to the galleries that currently exist, or I'll create a new gallery and have a new print with that new gallery. So that wraps up this exercise of not only going through and creating a new gallery, but going through the painstaking process of getting a nice print out, a nice series of tests out for the new paper is what really happened, and then dialing it in so I can get some really good prints out of it. I guarantee you next time I'm going to be way more efficient because I've already got it dialed in for that paper and I know what to expect for sure. It's going to be just awesome to be able to hit that print button, and within maybe 2 proofs, I'll have it dialed in that third time to where it's going to come out just absolutely perfect. And then as I go further and further, of course, I start to be able to really understand that Kanzen Infinity paper. I pretty much just know whatever I see on screen, I know exactly how it's going to look. And I anticipate that's going to happen with this new paper from Breathing Color as well. All right, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy shooting.